In the Middle Ages, there was no such thing as a police force. No detectives, no court-appointed lawyers, no written constitution. Justice, like everything else, depended on your status, your location, and the whim of your lord. If you were a peasant in a rural village, the law came down to what the local lord said it was. And if you lived under the king's justice, it could be even worse. Laws varied from village to village. One manor might allow a man to fish in a river, another might hang him for it. Most laws were based on custom, what had always been done, or passed down orally. And justice wasn't meant to be fair. It was meant to preserve order. A theft wasn't just a crime against property, it was an insult to the man who owned the land, to the hierarchy that held society together. Punishment wasn't about rehabilitation, it was about fear. But who made these laws? Kings issued charters, lords held manorial courts. The church had its own courts too, and they were very protective of their power. If you were a clergyman, or could pretend to be one, you could claim benefit of clergy and be tried by the church instead of the king's men. Why did that matter? Because the church didn't torture you, usually. Whether you were judged by the king's court, the manor's court, or God's court, one thing was certain. If you broke the rules, you'd pay, often in blood. There were no fingerprints, no forensics, and no CCTV in the 12th century. But that didn't mean crime went unpunished. In fact, medieval communities were surprisingly self-policing. Every adult male was grouped into a tithing, a group of 10 men. If one committed a crime, the others were expected to report him. If they didn't, they were all held responsible. This system, called Frankpledge, worked by fear and mutual obligation. In a small village, everyone knew each other. If a crime was committed, someone would notice. Someone always talked. And once suspicion fell on you, proving your innocence was your problem, not theirs. Accusations could come from witnesses, gossip, or the community's reeve, a sort of local enforcer chosen by the villagers. But once accused, you might be forced to prove your innocence in front of the whole community. And good luck doing that without wealth or allies. Sometimes, suspects fled. If you ran, the hue and cry would be raised, a literal shout, and everyone within earshot had to chase you down. If you were caught, you'd likely be thrown in a lord's makeshift prison, a dark pit, or a wooden cage. If not, you became an outlaw. And being an outlaw didn't just mean living in the woods. It meant anyone could kill you, and no one would be punished for it. But let's say you were caught. The village had seen you. The tithing named you. What happened next wasn't always as simple as a trial. Sometimes you were tested by God himself. In theory, a trial determined guilt. In practice, it was often a performance. One where truth was whatever God revealed. If you were unlucky, you'd face a trial by ordeal. One common ordeal was ordeal by hot iron. A glowing rod of metal was placed in your hand. You'd walk 3 paces with it. Then, your burned hand would be bandaged and left for 3 days. If it healed cleanly, you were innocent. God had protected you. If it festered, you were guilty. Simple, brutal, and entirely up to the priest examining the wound. There was ordeal by water, too. In this one, they'd tie you up and throw you into a river. If you floated, you were guilty. The pure water rejected you. If you sank, you were innocent. But you'd better hope someone fished you out before you drowned. Eventually, these ordeals were banned by the church in the 13th century. After that, more cases went to jury trials, but not like modern ones. The jury was often made up of people from your village, people who already knew you. If you were unpopular, your chances weren't great. And if the court didn't know what to do with you, they might just throw you in jail for months until they decided. Medieval justice was slow. It was messy. But when it delivered a sentence, it did so with terrifying certainty. Punishment in the Middle Ages wasn't hidden behind prison walls. It was public, graphic, and meant to make you never forget. If you stole a loaf of bread, you might lose a hand. If you lied in court, your tongue could be cut out. Crimes like murder or rebellion often meant execution, by hanging, burning, or beheading, depending on your status. But some punishments weren't deadly, just humiliating. The pillory locked your head and hands in place in the town square, where anyone could spit, throw garbage, or worse. You could be flogged, branded, or forced to wear a badge marking you as a criminal. The idea was clear. Shame was power. For serious crimes like treason, the sentence could be horrifying. In England, male traitors were hanged, drawn, and quartered, first hanged by the neck, then disemboweled while alive, and finally cut into 4 parts. Their remains were displayed as a warning. Mercy? That was for the rich. The church had softer punishments, sometimes. A penance might involve walking barefoot to a shrine or reciting prayers daily. But even the church wasn't always gentle. Heresy could earn you a burning at the stake. So what happened if you committed a crime in the Middle Ages? You didn't just fear the punishment, you feared the whole world turning against you. Your neighbors, your lord, your priest, even the elements, all could become your judge. Justice wasn't blind in the medieval world. It was watching you every day. Justice in the Middle Ages wasn't about fairness. It was about control, about fear, and about survival. For the common man, the law could be as dangerous as the crime, and sometimes even worse. If you found this glimpse into medieval justice chilling, there's far more waiting in the shadows of history. From forgotten punishments to strange superstitions, the medieval world was full of stories that still haunt us today. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to see the next one. This has been The Hollow Keep. Until next time, stay curious.